Hello, it's layperson Lisa with a reflection on the readings for the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Today, I'm going to talk about, dun dun dun, the root of all evil, the root of all sin. You guessed it, pride. So today, Paul talks about how if we are to boast, it is only to be in the cross. That anything that we do is good, is not of our own doing, but of God. But how often can we think that it was us who did it, that it was us who accomplished something great? It's not us. It's Jesus inside of us, giving us the strength, giving us the ability, the gift to do these things. And we have to, it's an easy thing to slip into. We can easily think that and desire any sort of acclamation, praise, accomplishment. Those are all things that, because of our human nature, we tend to crave. And the litany of humility goes into each of these things. And so a form of giving too much emphasis on what people say about us, too much emphasis on receiving praise from others, it's vanity. Vanity is not always looking in the mirror and making sure our hair is perfect, that our shirt is on straight, but it is putting too much value into what other people say or think about us, or the actions that they do against us. And so this is something that I struggle with. I have put too much value in what people say or their opinions, but luckily this is something that Jesus and I are working on, and he calls me to rise above any sort of negative comment, any sort of criticism, any sort of attack. He calls me to focus on him and what he says about me, whose I am, that I am a beloved daughter of the Most High King and have access to him anytime I call upon him, that he is always there by my side, and that he is always in my heart wherever I go, and to rely on him, that he is all I need. I don't need the praise of others. I don't need the affirmation, but our human nature craves it. And it's often because of performance-based mentality, right? Like, so if we grew up in sports, we got praise when we did well, or had a personal best, or we won. And in school, like when we did well and we got A's on our tests, the teacher might give us praise, our parents might give us praise. And so this is something that we have to renew our mind, that okay, what other people say, that's nothing. It's what God says about me. And oftentimes I think we're hard on ourselves when we feel like we failed. I know I can be hard on myself in my spiritual life, like when I fall into the same sins, or I fall into the same habits that are not fruitful, that I fall into turning inward. I can easily beat myself up because I'm not performing where I feel like I should. But that's when Jesus is always reaching his hand. Every time that we fall, he's always reaching his hand and wants to help us back up. And sometimes we just want to, like, nope, I want to stay here. I want to stay here in the tomb. It's the Paschal mystery, that when we fall, when we stay in an inward state, that's staying in the tomb. But Jesus, he wants to resurrect us. He wants us to focus on him, to depend on him to pull us out of that tomb. And I think sometimes I know for myself, like, if there's something that I don't want to do, or I don't care to do, or I just don't like to do it, I know in the past I would just, like, in my head, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be here, I don't like doing this. And recently I started to offer that to Jesus, like, okay, Jesus, I know I have to do this. There's things in our work life things in our family life, things in our ministerial life that we might not be our favorite things to do, that we might just flat out not like to do them, but yet we are called to do them for the good of God, for the good of our family, for to do a good job at work, so that we can provide for ourselves, for our family. And so I recently started, okay, when I wake up and I know I have to do something that I don't care to do, okay, Jesus, I offer this to you. I ask you to, I offer this as a sacrifice to merit graces for myself, to grow in sanctification, and to merit graces for the sanctification of those that I encounter while I am doing this activity or this thing that I don't particularly care for. And it can change our whole perspective. Like for me, it really helped me to not focus on myself, but to focus on the other, to focus on who was present in the environment that I was in. And it was actually turned out to be quite enjoyable for me, because I wasn't focused on myself and like, I really don't like to do this. I was focused on the other person and trying to help them and to be joyful and to spread the joy of Christ, because we are called to do service, especially service that we don't like, with joy, because that actually helps us grow in virtue. It helps us grow in the virtue of patience, which is doing something or facing some sort of circumstance without letting our joy disappear. And so this is a great opportunity for myself to grow in patience when I don't, like the other day I always pick the wrong line at the supermarket, and instead of like looking at the person in front of me and them struggling to put their shopper card in and remember what number it was under, I was just like, okay, Lord, like this is an opportunity for me to grow in patience. And so I just took that focus off of the slow moving line and put it on Jesus. And that is one of the things that we can do when we feel like we are focusing on ourselves. Like, okay, Jesus, how are you calling me to grow closer to you inside of this circumstance, inside of this delay, inside of this trial, inside of this struggle? And it just puts the focus on Jesus. It puts the focus on others and not ourselves. Because when we put the focus on ourselves, that is pride. And so I encourage you to reflect on what situations in your life are you called to offer to Jesus that you don't care for, that you can turn them into an opportunity to merit graces for yourself and others. You can turn them as an opportunity to focus on the other and not ourselves.